Hi guys, my name is LC. JT? Oh, he's not there. Yeah, that's right. JT is busy at time of recording visiting family, so I'm taking over hosting the F1 debate show on my own. The show must go on, as they say. So the things that I'm going to talk about in this episode will be the news in the paddock so far, which is that Heineken will be coming in to sponsor Formula 1 at the 2016 and 2017 season, and then hopefully onwards. Run down the Canadian Grand Prix, the facts and statistics, and what we can expect as we are inside the weekend at the moment. Talking a bit about the European Grand Prix, which is the next race. As you know, we're in the first back-to-back race of the season, and then also talk about driver transfers. Now, you might think that's a strange one to talk about. We're not even 1/3 through the season so far, but drivers and teams alike are talking about what's going to happen, who are they going to have to drive for them next season, and is any driver safe, who is safe, and we'll talk about what could be happening. Obviously, this is a massive topic, and we'll be making loads of videos about that in the future, so definitely stay tuned for that. So the first thing to mention on today's episode is Heineken. The massive beer company around the world is going to become a global partner of Formula 1. That's fantastic to see, and many companies like Rolex and Emirates have entered into the global market with Formula 1, sponsoring them, obviously pulling the money in and just kind of boosting their name all around it. It works in both parties. It helps them as businesses, and it also helps us for Formula 1. We have that company with us, and it shows our sport how massive it is in the world. So they will sponsor 3 Formula 1 Grand Prix in 2017, become the main sponsor. For example, you have the Rolex Australian Grand Prix, as Rolex are a major partner at Australia, and Etihad at Abu Dhabi, for example. They will also sponsor the Italian Grand Prix in Monza from this season, only one. So it will be called the 2016 Gran Premio Heineken d'Italia 2016. Apologies if I haven't pronounced that in Italian properly, but you know what I mean. It'll be the Grand Prix Heineken Italian Monza, whatever that means, and that will become a multi-year partnership, which is fantastic. I imagine Heineken will be served in the Paddock Club and all around. So if you're going to Monza this year, that's what you'll be drinking, and I don't blame you. It is a very nice beer, and yeah, Heineken have sponsored and are sponsoring many global like sporting events all around the world. For example, the UEFA Champions League, the Rugby Union World Cup. They were a major sponsor at the 2015 Rugby World Cup in England. Many football and soccer events, American football. They're a massive all around the world. Different countries, different sporting events, definitely making a mark for them. They have also adopted the a slogan to bring into Formula 1. For example, like Bernie Ecclestone's "Think before you drive." Very original, Bernie. It is "If you drive and never drink." Now, you imagine that's very kind of it's like you live by that. It's just like law. But I think that's quite good actually to have in that. It's obviously when they will advertise Formula 1, certain brandings, TV commercials, digital advertisements, live fan experiences, PR campaigns and press conferences, and many things when they're promoting Formula 1 and obviously themselves, but integrated with Formula 1. That'll be their slogan, and I think it's quite good. I think it really is good. It'll definitely help Heineken as a company, and we're not a business show here, but yeah, it will definitely help Heineken. It'll be great to see, and it will be great for Formula 1 as well. Their logo as well is a green F and a red 1. I think it looks really, really, really cool. Like I said, in the green phase in Formula 1, it'd be really good to see. It'll be boosting theirs as well. The CEO of Formula 1, Bernie Ecclestone, says Heineken is a premium international brand with super reputation and a first-class marketing. I'm very pleased to welcome them into Formula 1 to see their skill and quality on their arrival into Formula 1 and to promote Formula 1 events. We're both enjoyment for a long and special relationship, and when I have beer, it's always Heineken. Maybe that last thing was a bit, Bernie, if you just drank Heineken for the whole of your life, I don't know about that. Maybe what happens when you go to a function and there's no Heineken to drink? Not every place has every single beer in the world, but it is nice. And it's great to see them in Formula 1. Really is very, 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 very good to boost them. To be in Formula 1 is fantastic. So as I say, they will sponsor Formula 1 events, and that will be fantastic to see. It'd be great to see it in for Kimi Raikkonen. Obviously, as we've seen him drinking Heineken, around on pitches and things like that. And obviously, those T-shirts were made instead of like Heineken, it was Raikkonen, even though the slogan was wrong. If you want to find out what that is, please leave your comments down below, and we will tell you incognito. So yeah, that's one of the major news stories of this of this week. The second thing to mention is, as I said, this is the first back-to-back weekend. So this weekend, so the Sunday the 12th, as you know, is the 2016 Canadian Grand Prix. And then 1 week later, we are going all the way from Canada, so all the way in the west of the world, to central, not even in Europe, but it's called the European Grand Prix in Baku. Now that is happening on the 19th of June, Father's Day in many countries around the world. So that'll be really good to see. We'll have a packed week as well, because we have to bring out the preview as well for that, and that will be fantastic to see. We will also be bringing you more information about the Baku Street Circuit as it gets closer to the time, and I'm really looking forward to that and seeing what they can happen. Back-to-back races are very strenuous on the teams as well. You think that it's not just in terms of, after a race, packing the stuff up, putting on those DHL planes, then flying off. It's really strenuous as well, because whatever happens in this weekend into anything, for even little things like a disruption, in the team, to something wrong with the car or the tyres or anything, they've got to deal with within a few days. Because for us, the weekend starts on a Friday, but for them it's Wednesday, maybe even earlier, a Tuesday. So the next thing to talk about is the Canadian Grand Prix, what we can expect. Now, as I say, JT's not here, so it's maybe not the best, maybe not the best episode. So I thought I would just list off some of the numbers and statistics for the Canadian Grand Prix. At the moment, we are on the Saturday, so free practice free will be happening in the next few hours. At time of recording, the free practice 1 and 2 haven't started yet, so I don't have any information about those, which is a real shame. But obviously on the on the review show on Sunday, we will be talking about those. We'll be talking about the 3 practice sessions, qualifying, and obviously the race. And obviously our Driver of the Day award, which is bigger than the Euro 2016 trophy, which obviously kicked off yesterday. Obviously this afternoon is England v Russia. Obviously we're from England, supporting England, so yeah, that's a very nepotistic, but yeah, it'd be great to see. So there has been 3 venues to host the Canadian Grand Prix. At the moment it is the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, which is an island. Now it's really great to see. Please go and look at some pictures. I know it'll be very sad to go and look at some pictures, but it is a very nice island. It was staged in 1978. They had some kind of expo. I don't know what, business or art or something like that, but that's where that glass dome thing comes from. It's not, it wasn't like a premonition of the Simpsons movie or anything, but yeah, that's where that came from. And it was first held in 1978. Before that, it was held in Montsault in Ontario. My friend's pronunciation, held it 8 times, and it was also held in Mont-Tremblant in Quebec. Quebec is anything, I don't know what Mont-Tremblant is, but that was a good pronunciation by me. But yeah, so they're the 3 venues. But obviously the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, named after Gilles Villeneuve, an amazing Canadian driver, and obviously father of a world champion, who sadly passed away in the 80s. It's named after him. What a great tribute. And obviously they've run the race since 1978, which is amazing. The number of laps led in a Canadian Grand Prix was 235. Now, does anybody know who that was? I thinking out there, you're thinking Michael Schumacher or Ayrton Senna, someone like that. Well, no, it's not. It was Lewis Hamilton. Now, as we mentioned in the Canadian Grand Prix preview, which came out on Thursday, please watch it if you haven't already. Lewis Hamilton has an amazing run at this circuit. He's won 4 times, and they included 2007, his maiden win in Formula 1 in his first season. I mean, our class, Lewis Hamilton's first season in Formula 1 was one of the best ever seasons that anyone has ever had. So he wins in that, which I believe was about round 7 again. I think it was round 7. So 7 races into his new Formula 1 venture, he won the race, which was unbelievable. It also included 2012 when he was the 7th different winner in 7 different races. Talking about him, present day, he's led 235, more than any other driver in history, bar Michael Schumacher on 433. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton, the only one on the grid at the moment. Hamilton's closest rival is Sebastian Vettel on 157. Most of them were scored in the 2011 Canadian Grand Prix, which was led by, I think it was Sebastian Vettel for about 99.8% of the time, until he spun off on the last corner, giving the lead to Jenson Button. The victory tally achieved by the most successful driver in the Canadian Grand Prix history was 7. Now, who do you think that was? That's right, it was Michael Schumacher. 7's a lucky number for him. Unlucky 7? Lucky 7? Well, it's definitely lucky for him. The closest to him is Lewis Hamilton, currently on 4. As I mentioned before, Lewis has an amazing love for this track. You know, it's not just he does well at this; he loves this track. He loves doing well at this track, and I mean, it must hold whatever your first win is. It must hold a very special memory in your mind. So that's great. The lateral G-force around the circuit Gilles Villeneuve is 3.4, and that's the most, and that is at turn 5. Now the circuit is very long, and there's not much, in terms of high-speed corners, but in terms of low-speed corners, I think there's only one on the circuit, and that is the hairpin right at the bottom. Obviously, that we saw Robert Kubica's near fatal crash on that. But very fun to see that hairpin. How drivers will take it heading into the DRS zone. It's probably one of the best corners. I'd say probably one of the best corners in Formula One. It is really, 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 really good. 45% of the Montreal circuit is spent on full throttle. Now, I just mentioned that there. It is a very, very, very fast circuit to take. So as I say, it really speaks for itself. Almost half the lap is spent on full throttle. A real of a test for straight line speed. So obviously the drivers who love speed, which I imagine is everyone, even Scott Speed, will love this track, which is amazing. I'm sure, Scott Speed will have driven this track, but I'm not sure how he did. He was only in Formula 1. He wasn't on for very long, but he's one of my drivers. I do look out for him. He would be great to see. And obviously an American in Formula 1, which is always great to see. Especially now we have Haas, an American team. Let's get an American driver into Formula 1. The last year Ferrari won was in 2004. Now, we mentioned the Ferrari curse in Monaco because it was the 2001 Monaco Grand Prix, which was 15 years ago. Yep, until they'd obviously 14 before that was ran, but now 15, and they still haven't. So the Ferrari curse runs on. It has been 11 years, and then 12 if they don't win in this weekend. Tomorrow, sorry, if they don't win, it'll be 12 years. But at the moment, it's 11 since Ferrari have won, and that was held by German driver Michael Schumacher. The winner of the Canadian Grand Prix from the lowest grid position was 10th. Now that is very far back. That's on the 5th row. That is very, 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 very far back. That was Jacques Latif for Liège in 1981. Kimi Raikkonen in 2005 won from 7th, and Jenson Button in 2011. But obviously, really, Jenson's win in 2011 was from the back of the grid, plus 6 or 7 pit stops. Now that was an amazing race for him, not just where he started on the grid, but everything in that. Now, the last stat I'm going to give you was the fastest pit stop during last year's Canadian Grand Prix, and it was done by Toro Rosso, but it was done for a man who doesn't drive for Toro Rosso anymore. No, he drives for their big brother team, Red Bull Racing. So Max had the fastest pit stop at 2.36 seconds, but mainly would you give that to Toro Rosso instead of Max, but obviously he'll be on a high from that. Just on the topic of Max Verstappen, now he's a different driver to work out because he had his maiden win in Spain at the Spanish Grand Prix. Then he crashes twice at the Monaco Grand Prix the weekend, so crashes it in qualifying and then crashes it in the race, so he can't finish. He also crashed, if you remember, during the race in the 2015 Monaco Grand Prix, which was the race before Canada. And in the press conference last year, you had Felipe Massa. Now, before I go into this, you think at that time he was 17 years old. A rookie, hadn't done much, and then it had a massive crash in Monaco at Zandvoort, kind of a bit like a rookie mistake, if you like. And then you think, well, is any driver going to criticise him? Is any driver going to say, well, hang on a minute, he's 17 years old, he is not ready for Formula One? And then he came around Canada, and then Felipe Massa had a go at him. By the way, I don't know why he could have, because Felipe has had his like series of visits to Sainte Devote. But anyway, he dug into Max Verstappen, saying that he's a child, he's not ready for Formula One, he's a rookie. Get him out. Get him in a few years' time if you like, but no, he's not ready at the moment. They changed the rules a few weeks after that, so you couldn't get your super license until 18. So we'll never see another Max Verstappen in Formula One. Obviously, we were 18, but not when he was 17. So he's very strange. But then Felipe kind of dug in, and that's a press conference that always will, stay with me, because you think, well, hang on a minute, this ex-Ferrari driver, is having a go at Max, saying that he's not ready. And then Max had one of the best comebacks, and he kind of thought, well, because Felipe Massa crashed in 2014, if you remember here, a massive crash, getting near to the end of the race, and Max just turned and said that. He just said, well, I'm ready for Formula One, who the hell are you, get out of my life. And then also, final thing to end with, which is almost like a, haha, Massa, get out my face, was, why don't you just evaluate how you did last year in your runoff? How terrible did you do? And then that kind of shut Massa up. But that definitely stands in my mind, and it shows what they thought of Max at that time, and yeah, something that obviously resembles Canada for me. But Max, he really needs to. We're not going to talk about what will happen tomorrow, because we already did that in the Canadian Grand Prix preview. But I do hope that Max will improve. He had his maiden win in Spain, crashed in Monaco. I'd like him to, if he could win this, that would be unbelievable. It really would, wouldn't it? One of the best things we could ever see, but that would be amazing. But don't crash. Don't crash anywhere on the circuit. And is he allowed to crash in the World Champions? No, but he will do someday. Maybe he can like put his mark on it, like a Max was here, for future reference. But he definitely will be at one point. That is one of the best corners, the Wall of Champions. Now, who's going to collect that? The most entries into the Wall of Champions was Michael Schumacher. Now, that was very strange. Michael Schumacher, Damon Hill, and by the way, this person wasn't a world champion, but Martin Brundle has crashed into the Wall of Champions more times than Pastor Maldonado has crashed in one season, and that is about 1 billion times. But one of the best corners ever, and who is going to collect that this year, tomorrow? Who's going to collect that in the 2016 edition? It's all great to see. One of the best corners in Formula One, as I say. Now, as I said, the last thing I'm going to move on to in the F1 debate show this week is driver transfers. Now, a lot of drivers are under the firing line, and it was mentioned at the press conference on Thursday night about where drivers are going to go. And the first person I'm going to start with is Jenson Button. Now, he has been in the firing line from about 2013. As I say, 2012 for Lewis was a good season. 2013 was terrible. 2014 was better, but still bad. 2015, come on McLaren, that was terrible, abysmal. 2016 has been proven, but since late 2013, Jenson has always been in the firing line of where he is going to go. And someone asked that question in the press conference on the Thursday, and he just said, I don't know. He didn't say I don't want to mention it, he just said I don't know. And yeah, that's going to be Jenson's life all the way to about maybe Singapore, Japan, Malaysia, until something's done. Either he's re-signed by McLaren or it's worked out where he's going to go. But he's always been in the firing line, and in terms of this season, I think it's maybe a bit early to say, where he would be going, what is going to be done. Is he going to be re-signed? Is he going to do this? Is he going to do that? Let Jenson just focus on this race and this race alone. Focus on this race first, and then take one race at a time, and then maybe in the summer break, when you've got plenty of time, when you've got 4 weeks off, then work out, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go back to McLaren, I'm going to stay with McLaren, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to go, where's he going to go? It would be great to see. I want to make a very early prediction of where I think Jenson is going to go. Now, I don't know if everyone will agree with me out there. I've just got a feeling in the back of my mind. Can anyone guess what it is? I'll give you a few seconds to work it out. It's Williams. Now, I just have a feeling that Jenson is going to go to Williams. I think in the chain of in the chain of what's going to happen in the causation chain, I think that Valtteri Bottas will go and move forward in a team. Now I'm not saying where he'll go, Ferrari, he might even go to McLaren, but it might even be Massa. But I just have a feeling that next year we will see Jenson in Williams overalls. That would be fantastic to see, and I would love that. I would absolutely love to see that. The next person, the massive one at the moment is massive, but I think it was only mentioned after he had his podium, was Sergio Perez. Now people are saying that he might go to Ferrari next year. Now obviously Checo drove an amazing podium, and more importantly won driver of the day, which... Sorry, I should have started with that first, because of course that's more important than anything. I'd rather win driver of the day than 10 world championships. Come on, Michael Schumacher. 7. It's not impressive. You need to win driver of the day award, which he hasn't done yet. And by the way, just on the topic of driver of the day, guess who has? And everyone calls him just a human, Daniel Kvyat. Remember, he's won the driver of the day award. So call him all you want, but he is the winner. Sorry. Anyway, off topic there. I forgot what I was talking about. Oh yeah, I was talking about Perez. So remember, in 2012 he had an amazing season with Sauber. 2013 he went to McLaren. Now McLaren as a team didn't have a good season. They struggled off the back of 2012. When they just lost Lewis, and obviously Mercedes were catching up, and obviously Red Bull's dominance with Sebastian Vettel the last year of them and the last year of the V8 engines. 2014 was really bad for McLaren, and the transition in the winter was, what are we going to do? We can't have hangers on, and maybe they saw Checo was a bit of a hanger on, so they had to let him go. He then went back to Force India. So he can go back to Force India. He went to Force India, but he went back to the midfield. So he went from the midfield forward and then back. So then you've now got to think, well, hang on a minute. He's had one podium like you did a few times in 2012. For example, like his second place in the 2012 Malaysian Grand Prix, where, remember, it was a red flagged race. He was leading the race until the final lap, when unfortunately he ran wide, like aquaplaned, and let Fernando Alonso take the lead. But an amazing second place then. So then you think, well, he's had one podium like he has this year, so far, I mean. And then, should he go to a big team? He might do the same as what he did in McLaren, but it's all great to see. I mean, firstly, Raikkonen hasn't left. That's one of the big things that they've got to think. Raikkonen hasn't left Ferrari, but obviously if he does, his seat's going to be open. And I'll tell you something though, Checo, if you're watching this, every single driver bar a few who have obviously got their, got theirs worked out, will be wanting your seat and will be racing to get it. So you've got to really pull out the stops in everything you want to do. They're probably the two biggest ones I wanted to talk about in this F1 debate show. Obviously, as I say, it's a massive topic, and we're talking about this so much. Moving through this half of the season, the summer break, and then obviously, I mean, that kind of transition, maybe summer break, Belgium, till about Malaysia. That block, that chunk, will be just crammed full of driver transfers, and then hopefully we'll get some done by Malaysia, Japan. That kind of area, obviously, because that's where they're all announced. Anyway, so that is the end of the F1 debate show now. It's just been me today, so it's been, obviously a bit slow. Obviously, there's no JT to give his rundown of what he thinks, what he wants to add into the F1 debate show, and what he, basically his counter arguments to what I say, really, because everything, he doesn't agree with me in anything. It's just my argument, his counter argument, and then we butt heads. But so yeah, he will be back next week. So on the channel so far this week, we have on Sunday we have the Canadian Grand Prix review. That will be coming out late on the night, depending on where you are. But GMT will be coming out on the night to talk about what we think about the race, and obviously given the driver of the day award. On a very busy week ahead of us, so on Thursday we have the preview of the European Grand Prix in Baku. On the I've already mentioned the Thursday. On the Friday, we have F1 Decoded episode 9. This is the penultimate episode. That's between Graham Hill and Jim Clark. I'm doing Graham Hill, and JT's doing Jim Clark. He would bite me hand off if I chose Jim Clark. Then on the Saturday, we have the F1 debate show again, where we'll mention other things that have been in the paddock, alongside a bit what I touched on today, which is driver transfers. And then on Sunday, we obviously have the review of the European Grand Prix. Also, JT will be releasing his F1 2015 gameplay at some point this week. I'm not sure what race he'll be doing, but that will be coming soon. Also, if you liked his Mexican Grand Prix F1 2015 gameplay, please leave that in the comments. Obviously, F1 2016 hasn't come out yet, but when he gets that, he will be doing gameplay on that. I don't have F1 2015 because I don't have the right console. But so yeah, obviously that's great that he's doing it. It's really great. Add another layer to the channel. Obviously, we have loads of different things going on at the moment. You know, we have F1 Debate Show, F1 Decode, and it's all fantastic. It's all great to keep up with. So thank you very much for watching this episode, guys, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.